Welcome to the flip side. This is Lunargar Krishna, and today's episode we have Hyderabad's most loved makeup artist, Sandy. Sandy is a creative force known for enhancing natural beauty while bringing out confidence and individuality in every client. On the flip side, we discover his story, his struggles, reinventions, and the inspirations that shape the person he is today. So I'm someone who is a no makeup girl. And years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Sandy. And I was so nervous that day. How is he going to do his magic on my face? And there were a gazillion questions in my mind. Is it going to be too glam? Because this was for a cover shoot for a magazine. And I loved with the intuitiveness he approached. And there was just silence on the set. He didn't say anything to me and just worked out the magic. And that brings me here with you, Sandy. So, welcome to the flip
So
side.
honored to be here, Gulnar, and it was so glad to meet you. I think first I met you during the shoot, and then of course in between the we met. But it's so great, and I'm so happy to see you.
I know, in fact, that is exactly what I want to touch upon, the intuitiveness with which, you come and you approach, and there's always this silent aura around you. And I remember that day I was full of questions. No one's ever straightened my hair. I love my natural. This is my natural look. I didn't even blow dry my hair during my wedding. So it is, what you're gifted with, and thankful to the genes, to our great genes. But I loved the approach that you had. But I want to know, and this entire show, in fact, for us is, who is Sandy beyond the brushes and the glam?
Well, Sandy is larger than life. Of course, he looks like a Zen when he's working, but at the same time, is full of fun and loving. But at the same time, I'm introvert too. Like amongst people, close people, I'm just the entertainer. I love to cheer up and be there for them. But at the same time, when I'm working with people, mm, some sort of calmness that it comes to me, but I don't want any distraction around. But at the same time, I am there for the person. That's more important to connect with people closely. So, that's what I am.
So the flip side is about you.
Okay.
Okay, it's not about what you do, because this entire show we have wanted to bring out the people behind the brands. So while you have become a brand for your personal style, which I personally just love and adore, I love the skirts that you wear and just the way you kind of put your looks together. In your journey, what do you think inspires you and shapes that side of you, where the freedom to wear what you want, be what you want to be?
Right. So growing up, I was more flamboyant. So I used to be more colorful, try out a lot of things. Now Gen Zs do. So I used to do that back then in the year 2007 or 5 or whatever. But growing up, as and when I came into the industry, I met a lot of people to see the standards of style and sense, to understand the aesthetics of it. And I think I became more sophisticated throughout the journey. Although I wear something which are different to the people, but I like to keep it minimal, simple, but yet to the point. I don't want to go overboard with it.
That's your personal style. But in terms of, for me as a creative person, there's a lot of thought that goes into creating the brands, building the people in our profession. And I am afraid of those mornings when I wake up and I don't have a single idea. So, in fact, that is one of my biggest fears, where you wake up in the morning and you don't have any ideas. And as a creative person, there's a lot on stake, there's a lot at stake. So, the creative blocks that people like us face, what is it that you do in your time to keep enhancing yourself in your journey and work on those creative blocks? Because all of us have it.
So, over the years that I was working, I mean, it's been 15 years, right? So, I have put my hands in the movies, fashion, and weddings. So I started with fashion, but later I understood that weddings are not my thing. Back then there were no weddings, makeup, there was no kind of sense to people that they want approach towards makeup for that matter. And now it has evolved, right? In terms of creativity, in terms of, creating a certain look. So I am, as a person, I'm very versatile in nature, and I don't like to stick on to one particular face. So that's why I chose to do brides over the period of time. Fashion is also one of the things that I'm more creative to, but beauty is one thing that I am connected to. You know, but when it comes to movies, it's just like one face, one at a time. You don't have anything creative to do, and it's just the continuation. So I kind of felt it so boring to me, to be honest. Although I had, worked with movies like English for English and some of it like with actresses for a certain time, but I didn't really find it so enthusiastic about it. So I always wanted to do something more to do with fashion because I like more, merge into, kind of senses, artistic skills. So that's why I'm like more drawn towards it. Like growing up, also, I was more inclined towards the actresses on the silver screen or the models, how they put the lashes, how they color combinations are all. So that's like more, I mean, more inclined and more like I get really, thrill. Like, why not I do this on myself?
And explore. So, do you feel that in your personal style, you're trying to also incorporate that in different looks that you create for everyone? Because is it the face? Is it the outfit? What is it that really clicks for you with your intuitive space? Because I remember when we were working on our cover shoot, I felt it was all about intuition and also understanding. Yes. Because I'm somebody who I know I would run away if you give me a pancake face or if you give me a very dark lip shade. For me, the outer beauty has to match the inner self that you have. And of course, I come from the thought process, and my mom always taught me that beauty is what beauty does. So for us, we were not allowed to look into the mirror. We had to speak of our beauty and with our doings. So that's the school of thought that I come from. And so, how do you work out your looks? What inspires you at that moment, or is it just pure intuition?
it is the intuition, but at the same time, I understand how a person is. Like you said, like, you don't want to have so much of makeup. You just want to go natural and simple. But you can do a lot more looking at the beautiful face, beautiful you are. I mean, you can do a lot more, but it is again to do. I know that people come from different backgrounds, they want to look a certain way. You, but you have to understand personality, the whole persona of a person. But it also has to do with the outfits that I chose, to keep it simple yet minimalistic and to the point, not too much experimenting with, at least with the brides or, with the person like you.
Wow. So, also, let's talk a little bit about the unspoken stress in our glamorous professions. Although for me, it's not glam. I'm the girl with the laptop and behind the scenes. There are moments, yes, where over the years I have come in front of the camera. And I feel that there's a lot of unspoken stress because we're having bad days. We go through a lot. But when the camera comes on, we put on that smile and we try and give that hope and positive feelings to everybody. The way you look, also. In fact, in my practice, I practice Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism. And, Sensei has always said that you have to be very well put together to be able to also cherish the individual in front of you, to also show that you are taking care of yourself and you're in a position to take care of the other person. Because a lot of us don't take out that time to put ourselves, we don't present ourselves well enough. And I feel it's very, very important for all of us because you don't want to see somebody who is shabby, scrubby hair. The first thought that will come to your mind is that, okay, are you taking care of yourself? And I feel it's very important. So, that drives home the point even for you. You could be having a bad day, but you got to put yourself together to make the other person feel great about themselves too.
Yeah, that's mutual again. But although we have so much going on around us, but at the same time, you just are giving at that moment, and you have to forget about everything what's going on in your mind because you're committed. I think determination is something which I really learned over the years when my dad passed away, and then I was the only one, like don't want to depend on others for anything, you know. That's the motivation that I got it ever since I was a kid. I mean, I don't want to ask my mom or anybody, for my pocket money. I never wanted to do something which, um, is I am the responsible for them to take care of me. No, I always wanted to do something on my own. So I have started working. Of course, I was working in a company, and then before I was, thank God to my English that I was able to talk and then present well. This is also one of the factors where people love to work with me. Back then, there was no sense of support, at least for me, I guess. But now you have so many support system, I think with people around. Um, so I felt like I never depended on anybody, so I did it on my own. So I think that's what it challenged me even now. Like no matter whatever goes inside your brain or whatever, but you are committed to that particular moment in time. You have to be there for that person. So I'm an empath too. So I I understand where they're coming from because of the stress that goes around when you work with people. It is so important to make them calm. When you are calm at that moment, at least at that particular point, when you are calm within yourself, that you can deliver the same thing to others, I feel.
This takes me back to there were a lot of photographs, and there was a period in time where a lot of shoots, were taking place, and of course, my father knows me inside out. So he actually pointed out that, daughter dear, I know that, you're out there in front of the camera, but I don't see that joy in your eyes. And it took me a while to also understand that, yes, we are dolling up here, but that true joy, our loved ones will be able to tell that, are you truly joyful? The hardest part in our professions is also, of course, what you're saying, that you have to be empathetic. You could be having a bad day, but you got to reach, you got to do your job, you got to make sure your client is happy. But where in this do you feel the hardest part is delivering on a daily basis in your profession?
Well, it's the drive toward passion, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't really consider to be under stress unless your body is needed that kind of rest. So, yeah, um,
No red for Sandy, yeah.
I mean, I love to work under stress, to be honest. Right now, right after this, I have another thing.
There are bridezilla moments, huh? So there is, like I was talking in the other segment about unspoken stress, but the stress is there with bridezilla moments.
Yes, yes. So that's their concern. It's none of my concern. As long as I'm not stressed, I'm delivering, I'm okay with it. So, yes, I love to work under stress. That gives me adrenaline rush, and it's just the passion towards making people happy.
Working under stress. Wow, I haven't had too many people talk about working under stress or pressure. What spiritual practices, or is there anything that grounds you? Because we need to know about what is really grounding Sandy in those moments, because there aren't too many people out there. Many would also crack, and especially the current generation, they would quit and leave.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your spiritual practices.
So yeah, now talking about spirituality, I'm learning to be, at least try to be spiritual. Um, but again, I spiritual awakening happened to me a couple of years ago, and then I don't know, automatically there's something, I was a non-veg and then became a vegan, now a vegetarian. So I'm against, not against, rather it's people's choices, but I think I'm more towards empathy, showing empathy towards people and animals. There's something cruelty towards animals and suffering. It's really hard for me to take it, because when you take the sort of cortisol releases when they slaughter, and then that makes me die. So it's really not good as for a body. So meditation is of course one of the things that I am learning to, trying to take meditation like probably doing transcendental meditation, those sort of things. But the other sides of it also actually makes me grounded is to be more kind and compassionate towards people, at least with your close ones. And that's what I am for the brides and people that I am working with so closely.
So you spoke about cruelty against animals. Are you using any products in your life on the faces? Because the beauty industry, and I don't want to make this controversial, but lifestyle practices, because I remember in my journey, I have taken up a lot of brands earlier on in my career where I did not believe in them. But I did it because, you needed that name, fame. You wanted the company also to do well. And I'm a complete number girl. I needed the numbers in the bank as well for the company to run, for the team. We have salaries to pay. And, life goes on. But over the years, I think as I developed my security, I also began to learn how to say no. And that came to me much later on with many experiences, with a lot of courage. I learned to say no for brands that I did not believe in. So when you speak of, in the beauty industry, are you able to say no and have your boundaries and incorporated that in the
Very
lifestyle?
important. I come with integrity with non-negotiables. So certain things which I don't want you to do, I will not. So I'm adamant about it, and I know what I want, and I want people to know what I want to. So I'd like to also include vegan products in my kit. So that's more important.
So, there are a lot of misconceptions people have about anyone who's got a face on, in front of the camera. So, everybody kind of assumes things, and little popularity, people also make a lot of judgments. So, let's talk about the misconceptions people have about you.
Okay, people think that I am too naive. Okay, but the flip side is I am not.
You jumped right into the flip side.
I am not. Of course, I look zen when I'm working, but at the same time, I'm like I said, I'm with non-negotiables. So I have my things. So
Very clear on that. Also, in terms of, in the creative field, there are very few who also end up adopting the entrepreneurial side. So I remember the switch when I had to make from a job versus me, starting hashtag marketing. It was a switch, and my purpose is empowerment, and that is why I made that switch. But many people I feel struggle in the creative field to have that entrepreneurial side. So let's talk about your entrepreneurial side as well. Where and how in your journey did you decide that no, I'm going to do my solo run?
um, in the beginning, I went with the flow when I started in the year 2011. Um, I started with fashion magazines and movies and all of that. Um, I kind of gotten a little bit of comfort in it, and of course, there were no much competition at that point in time. Now there is a lot of competition. Every second person wants to be one. But luckily, at that point in time, it all favored me, the time and people noticing me and my work. So over the years, I think it's just been like what post partner's wedding. I think in 2012 is when I thought I take up this full time career and then master it.
So, in terms of a long term vision for you, is it more about brand collabs? Is it more about maybe starting an academy someday? Because today, the reason why everybody's also gone into this hybrid mode, and that is exactly what it is. Everybody wants that freedom and wants to be their own boss. I think after COVID, everybody wants that freedom in their profession. So, what's your long term vision for you?
Well, I did put up classes, couple of here and there, but I don't really. It's too tiring for me, to be honest. Like work, I mean, talking to a lot of people at the same time, it's too much. But I like to do like I'm comfortable one on one to get to know a person a lot more. That way, and also like, of course, I would love to try brands and collaborations in the future, but let's see later. Academy, yeah.
So, and now we come to our fun segment at the flip side. This is the rapid fire. So, let's kickstart with that. Nude glam or statement?
Statement always.
Really?
Yes.
Minimalism or maximalism?
Minimalism.
Even in personal style? No, not so much.
Personal style, yes. That's what I mean. I'll try. So I just want to keep it like one thing to be
Mm.
at point.
Okay, with minimalism, but have a statement piece.
Yes.
All right. One product you always carry.
Lip balm.
Ah, a trend that needs to end now.
What is the trend?
Oh, really? No, in fact, I do want to touch upon this. There are so many trends in your industry. Do you follow? Do you want to set some?
Trends. See, what do I have to talk about trends?
Makeup trends.
Everybody follows the trends, but I just, of course, you know, we get updated with trends around, but I'd like to keep my statement
You want
with
to
my
stick
touch
to.
to it.
You want to stick
Of
to
course,
your
I
touch.
follow, like, like half liner is one
Mhm.
of the things that is in now.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, just a half liner from here to here.
I've been doing that 20 years ago. In college, I used to do
Yeah,
that.
that now.
Because I'm a big course girl.
I think even now, like when I'm talking about trends, I think 90s is back.
Yeah,
Like
really, because when I started my coal journey,
yeah,
I've always done half.
yes,
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what goes around comes back around
yes.
easily. All right. Let's talk about the flip side of being a makeup artist.
Um, stress and hard work, but I don't consider that to be a stress and hard work. But there is,
There is,
yes.
and you have your mechanisms to deal with it. The flip side of being a fashion enthusiast.
Mm, flip side.
Yeah, there has to be a flip side of being a fashion enthusiast. Where do you draw your boundaries or do you go all out?
Travel.
Travel? In fact, the fact that you can't travel so much to explore more, or it's limited in your case.
Well, when the work is giving me travel opportunity too. This is also one of the reasons.
So, we travel, we explore, and there are moments where you also question yourself. Because when you travel so much, there's so much exploration, there's evolution, you want to do that much more, but then there are also limitations. So, where in your journey, do you figure out, okay, fine, this was a moment where I did question myself and I need to find a way to bounce back.
I think in this journey, 15 years of experience, I put my hands in makeup in industry as a makeup artist for movies, fashion, and weddings. So weddings was, I thought, it's not my forte, but now it has come back to what I like to do most part. Movies is definitely not my forte for now, but but fashion is always one of the things that I really like. But now then, there are a lot of people are exploring, wanting to be one of the best. But I feel that I've realized it later on that longevity something has to do with the clarity and not something which has to do with a lot of intensity. When I was working, obviously there is like a growth, there's always a growth. And when you are growing, you're trying to understand even the market as well. So for me, it is to do with the consistency part because I put I don't say efforts, but it's just the love and passion towards what I do. And I didn't really think that, the others is a competition for me because I stand by my own, you know, uh, stick to my authenticity.
I loved how we have authenticity and consistency. And I think those have been your powers behind the brushes as well. So thank you so much, Sandy, for being a part of the flip side.
Thank you, Gulnar, for making me this part of the show.
So sweet.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.
Welcome.